It has been a wonderful time to be a part of Kyocera. And last night, when we kicked off our general session, the excitement that I felt from the Kyocera staff was just so tremendous, and I think it's contagious, and hopefully all of you are feeling it as well. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Danielle Wolowitz. I am the Vice President of Corporate Marketing at Kyocera. And as I mentioned last night, I've been with the company for roughly 14 years, and I am just truly excited about this session and being able to have all of you get a glimpse into the world that we've been living for the last 7 months under the direction of Oscar Sanchez, and understanding his vision and his hopes and his dreams for what Kyocera Document Solutions is going to look like in the future. So we have a whole session set where you guys are going to be able to ask questions of Oscar and be able to, everybody should have paper and pen that you were given when you walked in the door. If you don't, tap on the shoulder of your neighbor and ask them if they can pass it to you if you have a question. I do have some runners that are going to be here. If some of my runners can raise their hands, they're in the back. So some of our sales reps, our area sales managers, are going to be collecting those questions. So if you have a question that you write down, please just raise your hand. They'll come over to you, grab the paper, and bring it up to me so that this way we can facilitate as many questions as possible in this hour. We do have a few questions that we've already received in from our dealer council that we thought would be pertinent to the entire audience in order to get the session started. So we are going to begin with those. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to a gentleman that I met actually at a BTA conference about 2 years ago in Las Vegas. And when I met him, his infectious attitude about life, about this industry, and about everything that embodies who Kyocera is trying to be has just been tremendous. And I see some of my friends in the front row here that know him quite well, and I think you can agree. John Ekstrom of Carolina Business Equipment. They are headquartered in Columbia, South Carolina. They are a Kyocera dealer and have been for roughly about 2 years now, John. And the last 2 years, I think, have been a whirlwind working with him, and it's just been so amazing to see the transformation of the dealership that came into the Kyocera family more recently, and what we've been able to do to help expand and grow his business in that area. So just a couple of things about Carolina Business Equipment. So they were actually founded in 1974. John came into the company in 1994 as the CFO, and then 1 year later he purchased the organization. And he's been in growth mode since that day. They've had several acquisitions over the years, starting in 2009, and they have their sights set high on where their future is going to be held. And then most recently, John became the president of BTA back in 2018. So many of you may know him and recognize him from that organization. And then, of course, he is a proud father and grandfather, newly grandfather. So congratulations, John. Why don't we welcome John Ekstrom to the stage? So that there's no interruption during the session. We would really appreciate it, and then we will get started. I would like to now introduce you to a man who you all met last night, and the head of Kyocera Document Solutions America, our president, Oscar Sanchez.
Danielle, I'd like to say thank you for that introduction, but I know all these guys would recognize the fact that I probably wrote it. But I will say thank you for paring it down to something a little bit more believable. So in gearing up for this event this morning, I had the opportunity yesterday. I'm seeing some hand waving back there. Is that for me?
You got the microphone.
How's this? Any better?
No.
Check the.
See, and this is why we always have tech crews on hand in case we need them. Not for that, whatever that is.
Well, if you didn't hear the first part,
How are we doing now? There. So if I told you that this was absolutely unscripted, you'd believe it, wouldn't you? So if you're wondering what I said in the first part, ask somebody up on the front row. They thought it was good, wasn't it? But anyhow, I had an opportunity to sit down with Oscar yesterday for about half an hour just to dig into, find out a little bit more about him before this event this morning. Let me tell you what's going through his mind right now. Why is this plan off script? Is he going to get back on script? But had an opportunity to ask him a couple questions about his success in this industry. And you know what? I thought the most important question was that, how did you become most successful? And without a moment's hesitation, he said, that's simple, it's sincerity. And then there's that dramatic pause. He said, John, let me tell you this, once you have learned to fake that, you will have it made. We lost it. So, on a serious note, I want to say thank you for the good opening yesterday. It's good insight. Chuck, are you here that I didn't see this thing yesterday? I don't see him. Okay.
Maybe over in the other session.
He may be over in another session. Incidentally, I thought he did a good job. Much like Chuck, I too grew up in a rough neighborhood. Birthday yesterday, right? But unlike Danielle, I didn't start preparing this year. Much like Oscar, this is my first time on stage. Unlike Oscar, this is probably going to be my last time. But that having been said, Oscar, I want to thank you for the vision that you've set. I thank you for your gut level of honesty as you laid out the initiatives that we have in front of us and the challenges that will be there, the fact that there will be some toast of it as we go through. I think that's refreshing when you hear that from a leader of a company that just acknowledges the fact that, yeah, this is going to happen, but let's pull together and make it happen together. I think that's pretty cool. But I really applaud you on your just unwavering dedication to the dealer community that makes Kyocera that manufacturer of choice for these dealers. So I thank you for it, and right now I think we'll applaud this guy for that leadership. Got those pads and papers, so as questions come up to your mind through the course of this, write them down and let's get them pushed out. But for starters here, Oscar, you referenced yesterday change, and it being a key theme. What do you see as the most significant change you envision for Kyocera in the coming year?
Well, I would say that the most important one I said yesterday, and I really believe that everything is about people. I mean, I think anything you want to do has to be has to have the people in the center of what you do. And I think the most important change that I would like to see is the change in the mindset of the company, the mindset of the people. I think that we have wonderful people working at KDA, but it is true that in too many years we have been doing things exactly the same way, and nobody has been really challenging what we had done in the previous years. And I think that what I'm trying to bring is forcing people to come out of their comfort zone, think in a different way, thinking out of the box, understanding that we really need to rethink everything we do and find new ways of doing things, and mainly bringing the passion of doing something that, for me, it's, we have a unique opportunity right now. We have a wonderful product line, we have a wonderful company behind us, very solid. So if we are able to bring a lot of passion in what we do and believing that we are in the moment that we can become one of the winners in this industry, I think that will be the most important change that I like to see in the people. When I came here at the beginning, I didn't know if I was going to succeed or connecting with the people because it's a different culture, a different way of doing things. And every time in my life, I have to drive change to people, but you need to connect with them. So I was a little bit concerned about that part. But I have to say that after 7 months, I think the reaction of the people and the way that the people is welcoming change and trying to tell me, Oscar, this is exactly what we need. We're really passionate about this project. I think that gives me a lot of energy, and I'm absolutely convinced that with that, the rest will come along. So, in a nutshell, what I want to see is that all of you recognize that all the people of Kyocera have changed, and now we have a different attitude towards trying new things.
Well, I think we all both see and feel that energy that you have, and appreciate the vision that you have as we move forward. Next question I have is, what do you feel is the most significant opportunity for dealers to expand their footprint in this coming year with Kyocera?
Well, I also explained this yesterday. I think that we need to go step by step. I think that we can think that we have to diversify ourselves and go into many different directions. But I think that we have to do what is closer to us. And I think that we have been traditionally, most of us, a hardware provider. And I think that what we have to move is from selling hardware to selling software. We don't have to forget about selling hardware, but I think that we have a lot of opportunities, and I don't see that all of us are really maximizing those opportunities. Yesterday I went through the lineup of products that we can offer for software, and I'm absolutely convinced that what we have is really a very good product lineup. Again, I think that is quite differentiated to what many of our dealers are offering at this moment. Again, I always say the same, but I don't understand why we run away from a commodity, selling hardware, and jump into another commodity, which is selling the same software that everybody is selling. So I think that we have a wonderful product lineup. I think that maybe we didn't pay too much attention in the past to software sales, or at least we said that we want to sell software, but then when you look inside the organization, maybe we didn't have enough focus. So right now we're going to have a wonderful product lineup with a very strong focus. All of us now in the company, all of us, we have a software target that we need to achieve. So I think that the commitment and the focus of the company on selling software, I think this is going to change. And I believe this is the greatest opportunity for a dealer. I think that we have a massive amount of customers, very loyal customers that we have been working with them for many years. And I think the upselling and cross-selling opportunities into our current customer base, not to talk about getting new customers, of course, but only our customer base. If we are able to sell software in the same way that we were selling hardware in the past, I think this is the best way for dealers to increase their footprint.
What was intriguing to me last evening as it began, I think, was the focus on breaking away from the product to really a customer-centric approach, which, that even skips past the software solution sale, and it really focuses on the workflow stuff. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more opportunities to get into those specific type things as we move on.
Yes, I think so. I think that, again, we have to be consistent. And if we say that we want to be a solution provider, we cannot be just sticking to the product, and we have to look at the customer. What does he need? What is not what we produce, and then we try to tell the customer, this is what we want to sell you. We really need to understand the customer needs, and if everything works very well, we should be able to go back to our factories and tell them, okay, this is what our customers are needing today. And I think the most difficult part is try to envision not what they need today, is what they will need tomorrow. I think this is a very difficult part, and I think that when you're in close contact with your customers, you get to that point that you really understand what they will need tomorrow. And I think we need to move ahead of what is the current market situation, and we have to see what it will come in the coming years. And you can only do that if you are customer-centered.
Reminds me of a line, I don't know how many of you know Mario Lemieux, famed hockey player from Pittsburgh. Something just like that. Somebody was interviewing him one time and said, how is it that you're so successful? And he said, I don't go to where the puck is, I go to where the puck is going to be. And that's what you just described. That's pretty cool.
You probably have no idea about hockey, so you tell them soccer. So I don't know what you said, but I guess it's good.
I'm sure Pele has an interview back there that would have sounded much like that. How's Kyocera going to help dealers in the changing market to remain relevant and profitable?
Well, I think that, again, our role cannot be only we deliver to you good products at a good price and then you do your business. I think we have to go a little bit farther with you. So I think that, I have been visiting dealers, and I see some dealers that are quite self-sufficient. They have a wonderful organization. Actually, I see some dealers that I like to look like them. Really wonderful organizations. They know what they're doing. They have a wonderful support structure. They have developed IT services by themselves. They sell software. So probably it would be maybe too full of ourselves if we think that we can do something for them. But I see a lot of dealers that they don't want to jump into IT services because they don't know how to do it. They are struggling on how to manage their contracts, how to do software business. So I think that we have to be ready for those dealers. I think that as much as possible, we have to be an excellent organization, that we are able to provide to our dealers everything they need to run the business. So I didn't mention yesterday, I didn't talk about IT services because I don't like to overpromise. I think we need to go step by step. But IT services will be an important part of our business. Today we are recruiting we have created a new division, IT services division. We're recruiting a vice president of IT services. And we want to be able to offer to our dealers the support to run IT services. So if they want to do them by themselves, we should be able to coach them and help them to set up that business. If they want to use our support, our infrastructure, we should be able to do it as well. So I think as much as possible, we should be able to help dealers to do as much as they can. I think dealers should do what we cannot do. We cannot sell, we cannot service. But the rest, we have to be able to provide excellent financial support, excellent logistics support, wonderful marketing activities. I think that we are not helping our dealers enough to sell. I don't think that we are providing them enough leads. And I think that we have to be able to generate those leads centrally and then distribute to our dealer side. So I think that we can do a lot of things, let's say in the back office, so dealers can concentrate on doing the things by themselves. So as much as possible, I think we need to reduce the operating cost of the dealers. And I think by that, if we improve our logistics, our marketing, our financial support, I think that's something that we can help them.
When you mention IT services, are you referring to RMM type support for back office, remote monitoring, the management system?
Exactly. So I mean, managed network services, and I think, to be honest, we have already a significant part of our business, well, not significant, but we have some business and revenue coming from IT services in our direct operations, but we want to expand this to our direct channel. So I think that if we do this, we do a good job, we will be able to offer this service to those dealers that are not willing, or for any reason they cannot invest on developing their own support infrastructure for IT services. So I think this is something that I would love to be here 1 year from now and offer this type of services to our dealers.
Okay. Well, there's a warm-up on some softballs. Here's some hardballs. What's Kyocera's position on authorizing major megas in markets with our other Kyocera/Kyocera dealers?
I should say I was not expecting that question. Probably that's the question I was expecting, the first one. Well, I think that I will not change, in this case, I will not change the approach that Kyocera Document Solutions America already had. I think that any of you know that the focus that we have on our dealer channel and the respect that we have for those dealers that have been growing with us have been one of the characteristics of this company. So I will not change that. I have been seeing, since I came here, some discussions about authorizing some of these mega dealers in other territories, and not my position, the position of the company and the people that have been trying to set the environment. I don't want you to listen my reply. So the position has been, sorry, I mean, in that territory we have someone already that is growing with us, so we cannot authorize you in that area. And that will be the focus that we'll have. We want to grow, and we are always open to discuss with people that are willing to grow with us, but if in a certain area we have someone that is already growing with us, we have to respect that, and we'll respect that. So we are happy to talk to mega dealers. We want to expand the business with them, but we don't want to give it just thinking short term on the revenue they can bring. We want to think on our history in that area, what is the growing plans that we have there, what dealers are trying to expand the business with us, and they will respect that. So that's something that is not me with this new approach. Is this what the company has been doing in the last years?
Okay. So on the heels of that, what is Kyocera's position on the Dex Staples acquisition?
Well, it's exactly what I just said. I think that's a very interesting move. I think that we have to pay attention to what will be the development in the future. Dex is one of our very good dealers. We are very happy with the business we do with them. We want to grow with them. We will not just sign a blanket authorization to sell all over the country without taking into account the current dealers that we have in each area. So the Dex situation will not be different to the one that we have with other mega dealers. So nothing will change there.
So you answered my next question. I don't even have to ask him. Thank you. What's the strategy behind combining the Kyocera/Kyocera sales?
That's another interesting thing. That's something that we don't have in other parts of the world. So Kyocera is a brand that we have been selling exclusively in the US with really great results. So you look at the numbers, when you see that, don't say something that is working. So we want to keep having two brands because it is working very well. But what I didn't understand is why we have two different sales organizations. We don't have two brands to compete between them. We have two brands to expand the channel and to expand the market. So then, in my opinion, we need to have one organization to manage two brands. So not two organizations, two brands. That's what we had before. So at the end, in every territory, we will have some moments that it will be better for us to have a Kyocera dealer. Some other occasions, we will need to have a Kyocera dealer. But we want to be more efficient. So we'll having two different sales organizations. I think that some structures were duplicated. So we try to become more efficient and to have one common direction for the both brands. So that was the reason behind it. Again, we want to be more flat, we want to be more agile, and I thought the organization was a little bit heavy, having two different separate organizations for Kyocera and Kyocera.
Okay, good. Now, based on your experience in Europe, how do you feel the shift to A4 is coming? Do you feel it's coming sooner rather than later?
Well, I don't know enough about this market. I've been here 7 months, so I cannot have all the answers. I mean, if we look at Europe, first of all, Europe is not one market. I mean, it's a very complex market. In Europe, I was responsible for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and you can imagine that the market in South Africa will be different than the Middle East or in Russia. And even looking at Europe, the market in Germany is very different than the market in the UK. So there is not such a thing as an European market. But if we put together maybe the 5 main markets in Europe, UK, France, Italy, Germany, and Spain, that is the most important market in the world. So if we put together those 5 markets, in the A3 market, it's in those 5 markets around maybe 3 billion euros. And right now, around 80% of the market is A3, and 20% is A4. And what we see is that both markets are slightly declining. So we don't see that A3 is declining and A4 is increasing. If we go to the mono market is smaller, it's 1.2 billion, and we see there that it's 60% A3 and 40% A4. If we look at those markets combined. But if we look only at Germany, which is the biggest market in Europe, we see that in the mono market, 55% of the market is already A4 and 45% is A3. And that only happens in Germany. In the UK, France, still most of the market is A3. Only the small markets in the Nordics, like Norway, Finland, Sweden, A4 is more important than A3. So it's not one direction that we see very clearly that everything is going towards A4. But it is true that those markets, Germany, the Nordics, that are more focusing more and more into A4, are those markets that they are more environmentally concerned, that the footprint is very important, that the size is important, efficiency is very important word when you go to work in Germany. So I would say those are the characteristics. If we come here to the US, here everything is big, everything. But it is true that I remember the first time I came here I was probably 17 years old, so that was 22 years ago. And I remember I was quite surprised because I could see big American cars, really huge cars, engines. And you could not see any small compact car. In Europe, however, we had a lot of small compact cars. 30 years later, I come here and I see a lot of small cars here as well. I still see the big American cars, but I see the small European cars as well. So I think that something is changing. I think that the American economy and way of doing things, I think that efficiency, footprint is becoming more important as well. So is that going to happen in the printing market as well? Well, I don't have the answer. But maybe the common sense tells me that sooner or later, millennials will take decisions, and I think this generation is more focused on things that maybe were not. So I think this will happen. How fast? Honestly speaking, I have no idea. If I look at Europe, this is not happening so dramatically. But it is true that in general, if I look at the dealers in Europe, they understand that when they go to a market, to a customer, they want to maximize their fleet. And maximize means A3, A4, and printer. And normally, they put everything into a click contract. Sometimes here I see that the focus is very strong in A3, but maybe we neglect the fact that many customers have desktop printers here and there on A4 devices. So I think what I said yesterday, I mean, come on, nobody can say that has the broad lineup that we have for printers and A4 like we do. I mean, I think we have this combination of the copier world coming from Vita and the printer world coming from Kyocera that anyone else has. So I think we have a great opportunity. I mean, what I said yesterday, we want to make sure that we are ready for the change if that comes, whenever that comes. So I don't think this will be dramatic, but sooner or later I think that we will see this change happen.
Now, before I put a follow-up question to this, I said this is coming in and out. Is it distracting back there? Can you pick up everything that he's saying, or do we need to do something with the mic?
Don't tell me that I need to repeat it because I don't think I will.
We're okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. So, any quick word of advice on how we should prepare for this obvious shift in the market as we do see the changes coming?
Well,
I'm going to let you last question.
I mean, I'm not anyone to give any advice, but I think that we have to pay attention to the pros that we have. I think that yesterday we briefly touched about the new product we have, A4 with a finisher included, 60 ppms. I think that opens a lot of opportunities. So I think we have a lineup that we can use, and I think that we have to really see, again, that's the way I think, we have to think of what the customer needs. So maybe sometimes the customer needs a printing device and they don't really need A3. Of course, the impact in the revenue is really big, and we have to pay attention to that. But I think the only thing is that we have to be open-minded, and we have to see all the possibilities we have with our lineup. And I think that as long as we have that, we'll take decisions when it's good to sell A3, when it's good to sell A4. And for us, it's just revenue driver. I mean, we are not concerned about the number of units that we sell. That's not our main. Market share is not important for Kyocera, but of course, revenue is. And I guess that's the same for everyone. And I think that we just need to be open for the opportunities that we have.
And to you, thank you very much for the questions. As you can see, we're done with these prepared questions. So let's keep Oscar not having to sing and dance out here. Distributors are selling printers and A4s on Amazon for less than what we can purchase for Kyocera. This erodes our printing and causes our customers to think that our pricing was excessive. Will you be doing something about this to address the channel-related pricing issues?
Of course. That's a big problem. I think that what I see, I don't like it. I think that we should have a good playing field, that everybody understands our pricing policy, and I think that we have done some things with our pricing that we were not really thinking on the consequences. Maybe we were thinking only on the short-term revenue in one specific month. So yes, we will address this. We will make sure that we have a pricing condition that does not disturb your business. That doesn't mean not that we have any specific plan about that, but that doesn't mean that you will not be able to see our prices in Amazon or a retailer. I think that again, we cannot ignore what is happening out there. But what we want to make sure that you don't have problems with your customers explaining why you have a pricing in a web platform and nobody thinks that your pricing is excessive. So I think that you will see a change that, and I see that you will see a change in the coming 3 months. I think that those prices that you got used to them will disappear in 3 months. So I hope that I can give that promise. But our pricing has to be fair, has to be competitive, but I think today is a little bit all over the place.
And a follow-up to that, love your kickoff speech.
Oh, thank you. Well, whoever it is out there, thank you.
If some dealers show more advanced competencies in software, will there be a way to interface directly with that bank for projects that may not fit the standard Kyocera dealer model?
Can you repeat that question just to make sure that I understand it correctly?
Surely. If some dealers show advanced competencies in software, will there be a way for the dealers to interface directly with DataBank for projects that might not fit the standard Kyocera dealer model? And I expect this has to do with enterprise applications, if that's true or not.
DataBank is a group company. So of course that we don't have any problem with any dealer discussing directly with DataBank if you believe that's the way to go. But I would say that probably it's better for you to deal with us. So what we're trying to do with DataBank, and they are here today, is that I explained yesterday, we need to define an operating model that works. And probably what we have today is not really working. So what we want to make sure is that you can choose between doing the business through them, so they provide business for you, or you do it directly with their support. But we need to make sure that we maximize the opportunities that we have with a company like DataBank. I think that if we look at what they do and the success they have with their customers, we need to make sure to replicate this and bring this to our channel. That was the reason for the acquisition that we did a couple of years ago. So yes, if any dealer has the capabilities to expand their business into enterprise level ECM projects or into conversion services or BPO services, we are more than happy to help you to do that business with DataBank through us or with them directly, so we don't have any problem.
So this one is titled Pricing Better Contacts for Manufacturer Reps. When you first signed on with Kyocera, we got support, competitive pricing, training, and discounting. This has tapered off and so have our sales. What is the plan to revitalize these types of deals?
Well, I don't know exactly what type of content out of those programs, but what is clear is that our target, what we need to do is to grow. I didn't come here to improve the profitability of the company. Of course, that we need to have profit, that's obvious. But my goal is to really increase our revenue in a very dramatic way. So for that, we need to have dealers that want to expand their business, and for that, we need to support it. So we need to have competitive programs to make sure that our dealers can grow. So are we going to have competitive pricing, training, support, and things that the dealer will need to grow? Yes, of course, we need to do it. So I don't know what this dealer or any other dealer had in the past, but what I want to make sure is that we have competitive programs to keep on growing those dealers that want to.
Okay, so quasi-related here, what will happen with Profit Plus and peak performance?
Well, that's a good one. Well, peak performance, I think I discussed a couple of days ago with someone internally. I think that peak performance is one of our most important drivers. I think that we need to generate interest on your sales force, and the best way to do it, sorry to say this, is through money. So the only thing that can happen with peak performance is that I hope that we can improve it. I think it's a very important and powerful tool, and we'll continue, and we have to see if there is some way to make it better. So that's very clear with peak performance. Profit plus, of course we need profit plus, but we need profit plus that are real profit plus. What I'm trying to say with this is that if you have any project with a customer that you need to have a special price to win that deal, I think that we are able to give very, very, very competitive pricing, and we will do so. And I would say that we will try to give even more competitive price than in the past. I think we have that capability, but they have to be real profit pluses. What it cannot be is that we give a profit plus for a customer, and we, even us, I think the problem was created by us. We tell a dealer, well, you can use this for everything. So don't worry about it. Just use for everything you want. That's not a profit plus. That's a program. So I think I'm saying this to everyone every time. I'm very simple. I like to call things by their name. So a program is a program. We set conditions for you to work during this year that has to be as competitive as possible. Great. You need a special price for a project. I need a special price for a project. That project is for 200 units. You have a special price for 200 units, not for 201, for 200. So I think that what we have been doing in the past is just cheating ourselves. I think that it was okay. So I think that in the past we have been doing this is not going to work.
Can we switch into the handheld real quick? Thank you.
Hello? No. Well, talking about technology. So I think that in general I was very surprised about this setup that we had. That I think that it's not unique for Kyocera. I think many OEMs do the same. So they create these special prices. So I lost myself. So again, make it simple. We need to keep profit plus. Working? No, it's no. So difficult example.
I think there's a Rico flag in the crowd.
You hear that?
Yeah.
I'll answer the question.
So Joe, what do you think? I don't know. I will try to be short, so you can get it. Yes, we will keep profit pluses, but only when you need a special price for a project. For the rest, you will have very competitive programs. So you don't have to worry about pricing. I know that there has been a big thing going on out there. Oscar is going to cut all the special prices, we're going to lose all our programs. No, we're going to make things that are more simple, more transparent, better for you and better for us. Easier to control, not a lot of back-end credits, not all these things that we have right now that make things more complicated. So I think that everything is about efficiency. So if you need to have one dedicated person to manage all our pricing, and our prices and our discounts, there is something wrong there. So we want to make it simple, and you don't have to worry about that. We'll keep profit prices.
So, really? There we go, okay. So one more on the pricing issue. Please address the supplies being sold at discounts through distribution.
Well, the answer is the same that I gave for pricing in Amazon. It's exactly the same, and I think that probably you all know already that we are working on that. I think that we are improving that situation, and we want to make sure that we don't compete between us. I think that for you and for us, consumables is our profit driver. We cannot kill ourselves, and I think that sometimes we're shooting ourselves in our feet. So we will control that. Of course, you know that these situations do not change from one day to the other because there are stock in the channel that has to drain out. But you don't have to worry about that. You will see that that situation that we have with consumables is really going to improve. And I think I talked with some of you yesterday, and some of you told me that you already noticed that this situation is much better now. So I think that it will get better in the next coming weeks.
Now, I should have made the announcement a bit earlier about we're getting down on the questions, so write them up. I know there's not going to be any writing on this one. When will the inkjet technology of the new 15,000C make it to the consumer A3 and A4 models?
Well, that's a good one, and I'm happy that not all the questions are about pricing. Well, Ina-san was there, but I think he left already because he has to fly back to Japan. I don't know, but to be frank, I don't think that will happen. I think that Kyocera is Kyocera Corporation, not Kyocera Document Solutions, has been producing high quality and I'd say high level inkjet heads for many years. And what we have done is that we have put that technology in our printing engines. And that's why we came up with a product like the one that you will see in the technology fair. I think it's not so simple to say if we produce a product for 146 pages per minute, then we can do it for 20 pages per minute. I don't think that's something that technology-wise we are willing to invest in that direction. I'm not sure that the market in the office environment will move from laser to inkjet. We don't see that that's something that we need to really put our bets on. So we want to have a footprint in variable data printing and in transactional printing like we are doing with that device. But I don't think that what you will see is a movement down to the office environment. You will see more products in that line. That's something that I can guarantee, that this is the first product in a very complete lineup. But the direction of Kyocera is not to move into inkjet in the office environment. I think that we are very comfortable with our laser technology. I think we have room to improve our technology to make it more competitive. And we don't see that moving into inkjet in the office environment is the direction that we should follow.
So a follow-up on the 15,000C, will that product be available for the CopyStar dealers?
CopyStar dealers are not different than any Kyocera dealer, it's just another brand. So the answer is obvious. It will be available for anyone that is certified into that product. So the answer is yes, if you want to, you will be able to sell these products, and actually we'll try to push all the CopyStar dealers to sell these products as well.
And then could you expand a little bit more on the lead generation and how they'll be distributed?
That's very specific. I think that about lead generation, I think that's something that it's probably my field. It's something that my background is marketing. I think that what we can do today with technology, with digital marketing, is unbelievable. So I think that if you invest in the right technology and the right people, you can massively create more demand for our dealers. So I think that what we need to be able is to make sure that someone comes into a website, an unknown visitor, and that unknown visitor become a marketing qualified lead. And we have to do that as much as possible with automation. So we need to be able to do all the lead creation, but also the lead nurturing path. We have to do it automatically with the marketing tools that we will invest on. So Daniel explained yesterday about the implementation of Salesforce Pardot. That will be our marketing automation tool. We want to connect that with our Adobe Experience platform, the website, and eventually in the future we'll connect it with our CRM platform. And then we'll create a lot of leads, and then we have to see in every territory how many dealers we have in that lead and what distribution criteria we set. So we want to be fair with our dealers, and we need to make sure that everybody has the same opportunities. The other day I was with one dealer, and he told me that last year I got only one lead coming from Kyocera. So what is happening with the rest of the leads? And I told him, well, probably you are getting everything we generate. So I think this is what is embarrassing. That we create one lead in one important area, that the one that we're talking about. So I hope that we have a lot of leads to distribute, and then we can talk about the distribution criteria. This is not something that we have defined yet, but what I promise is that we'll be fair with our dealers, and all of you should have the same opportunities.
Thank you. So here's another one. Your message yesterday was refreshing and felt sincere. How do you see your changes rolling out to regions outside of the U.S.?
Well, the same thing. It has to be exactly the same. In the morning we had an internal meeting with everyone from the U.S., but also the rest of the regions.
and I told them that I only asked them one thing, which is change. So this is something that it has to happen everywhere. This is not something that is happening only in the US or only in the Americas. I think the company, Kyocera Document Solutions as a whole, we are firmly convinced that we have to move in a different direction, that we have a great opportunity. We don't see our competitors moving faster than we. Probably we are all of us in the same situation. So this is not unique for the US. We have to do the same in other regions in the Americas, also in Canada. So I think that for all the dealers that we have out there, I'm expecting exactly the same things. I think probably KBA, we have to play a major role as a regional headquarter. I think right now the US operation has been focused too much on the US only, and I think we have to keep on doing that. But at the same time, we have to understand that if we have the best people for digital marketing, as I just mentioned, we cannot get that people and use them only for the US market. So we have to use that knowledge, and together with the great people that we have in the subsidiaries in Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Chile, and then the office in Miami taking care of the rest of the South American markets, we need to make sure that also we are maximizing the potential of the company.
Good deal. Do we have a strategy to negotiate global accounts in the near future?
Another good one. Yeah, global accounts is a very complicated thing. I don't think we are doing that in the right way. And not that we are not doing it the right way in the US. I think that in Europe also we have the same problem. We're trying to negotiate and to establish a global footprint that's extremely complicated. So I think that we need to redefine our operating model again. We need to make sure that, and I think that we have to go step by step. I think today sometimes we have some problems if we have national accounts and we want to have a uniform service all over the country, in the US. So if we don't do that correctly, how we can pretend to do the same worldwide? So I think my approach is, let's go step by step. Let's make sure that we have very solid national account operations, that we can coordinate any installation that we have all over the country in a very smooth way, with the right processes, with the right platforms, with the right KPIs that in this moment we are missing. And then when we do that, we can extend our footprint. So yes, we have to expand our approach to global accounts, but I think first of all we need to make sure that we do national accounts in the way that we should. So right now, as you probably know, Terry Schneider, after 41 years doing a fantastic job for this company, he retired last April 1st. So we are recruiting now a new vice president for not technical department, because we are changing the name. We are calling that new department Customer Service Operations. So we are recruiting a new vice president, and we are trying that this person will help us on setting up very good operations for national accounts, and I think that will help us to expand the business.
Okay, bringing it back home a little bit too here. What can we expect from marketing to make Kyocera brand more recognizable as a household brand?
Daniel? This is for you. Well, I think what we did yesterday, probably many of you may think that this is one of these marketing things. Okay, new brand, put knowledge to work, okay, fancy. What does it mean? It means a lot. I think I have been discussing with many people in the last years about, we don't have enough brand awareness, we have to invest more in marketing. But I always said, invest on what? I mean, what do we want to tell our customers? What is the message behind? Just promoting the brand, but what is the brand connected to? And I think that I always said the same. When someone is asking us, where do you work? Anyone working in Kyocera Document Solutions in the world, I think that probably you will have 25,000 different replies out of the 25,000 people working at Kyocera Document Solutions. So I think what we're trying to do right now is that we want to have a common answer. Kyocera, put knowledge to work. That's what we do. We try to help our customers transfer information into knowledge. So that's really powerful. The second thing with that is that really put a lot of pressure on us, because that's not what we do today. That's not what we are today. It sounds really good, but sorry, we don't do it. So that means that we need to do it. We need to become that type of company. We need to make sure that when we say this, there is something behind. There are products and services that help our customers to put knowledge to work and transfer information into knowledge. Again, very powerful, and we have to make that happen. And then we can invest in our brand, because then our brand will mean something. If not, it will be a nice logo that people will recognize, but they don't know what we do. So we need to invest in marketing. I think that our marketing budget will increase dramatically in the coming years. So I hope that you will see a stronger market brand recognition out there. But sorry, I think this is secondary. The first and important thing is to make what we said yesterday meaningful. And that's really the commitment that we have. I've been 23 years in the company. This is the first time in 23 years that Kyocera means the same everywhere in the world. And I think that's so powerful. We never had that before. And not only that we have a common message, but the message is so strong. I mean, I think that, I don't want to offend anyone, but selling copies and printers is not sexy. I don't think we can attract the future workforce in this industry by telling them that we sell copies and printers. But if I'm going to talk to anyone, any young guy that I'm trying to recruit, and I tell them, what we want to do is to transform information into knowledge. That's sexy, that's powerful, I get excited with that. So I think this is what we want to make alive. We want to make sure that there is something behind our brand. And yes, we invest in advertising, we invest in our brand, but the most important thing, we invest in our message.
So, kind of along those same lines, how will Kyocera help train its dealers that are currently a little reluctant to get into the solution space?
Well, I don't think that we need to convince anyone. My opinion, sorry to say this, you have to convince yourself. If you believe that, many of you have companies that have been out there for many, many years. If you think companies 20, 25 years in business, if you think that you can remain in business in the next 20 to 25 years selling copies and printers, don't do anything. Just keep on doing the same thing. Why to change? But if you think that in 20, 25 years you will have to sell something different, I don't need to convince you. I think that what I would be expecting is the other way around. You should be demanding from us, from Kyocera, you need to help me. You need to support my business, you need to help me to grow. If you are my partner, make it happen. Help me to grow your business. Help me with the investments that we need to do. Help me with training, with coaching, with good products. But I'm not going to go out there to convince you that you have to sell software. That's something that you have to just by yourself. I was talking yesterday with many people that were coming from Panasonic, salespeople, some of the dealers. That was a wonderful organization, great company, with great products, with great people, with a strong corporation behind like Matsushita. What is Panasonic today? So we can look out of our industry for references of companies like Kodak or Nokia that, well, something went wrong. But maybe, even if we look at our industry, we see companies that something happened to them. So I joined this company 23 years ago, and I didn't join Kyocera, I joined Mita. So I know what is working in a company that seems to be very successful, and one day is bankrupt. So I think that we know in our own shoes what happened if you don't change. And I don't think that this is something that will have to come from us and convincing our dealers that you have to do that. You know much better than us, you know your business, you know what you have in your hands. If you want to keep on doing the same things, that's fine for us, we'll try to help you. If you want to change, then tell us and then we'll try to help you and change together.
And on the technical side here, will the support staff for dealers be changing? We're referring to technical, the business solution consultants, and the solution sales instructors.
I said it again, don't change what is working. When I've been out there, one of the things that I was really proud of is all the comments that I got from the dealers talking about our people out there, about our ASMs, RSMs, about our business solution consultants, our solution support engineers. So I think that the comment that I was getting about our people was really great. So we are going to change that. We want to change their focus. So the business solution consultants will keep on doing what they are doing, but this year, for the first time, they have a revenue target to sell solutions. So they will have more focus on selling solutions. Our ASM will have a solution target. Our support people will have a solution target. So I think that the only thing we want to make sure is that we are all aligned, we're all aligned in the same target. But your support people will not change, will change their focus. And again, we will try to make sure that they can help you to migrate into a new business.
How accessible would you be for smaller dealers to have input into programs?
Well, I come from a small country, and I became general manager of Spain when we were 25 people in the company, and the revenue was roughly 10 million euros. So as you can imagine, at that time, most of our dealers were really small dealers. I think that we grew over the years, and I think that we grew thanks to our dealer channel. So for me, there are not big dealers and small dealers. For me, we have dealers, and we have to help every dealer to grow. I told yesterday our sales team in our internal meeting, make sure that next year every single dealer buy from us $1 more than the previous year. If it can be 2, will be great. If it is 10, great. But at least let's make sure that every dealer grow $1 more. That's all. If we do that, then we're growing. So my approach is, we have to start from the bottom. We have to make sure that we do well for every single dealer, and any dealer that wants to grow with us, we'll be ready for them. Big or small, but we'll be ready for them. So again, I started small, and I think that sometimes you have to go back to your origin, and I don't believe that small dealers is something we should neglect. We should help them the same way that we help big dealers.
So I'm glad to see that you got through to the We Them idea. Do we have plans to increase our A4 product ranges based on our current lineup?
Yes, all the time. I think that we are presenting now new products. I think we are presenting now a 506 or all the new Pursuit series. We are presenting a new device with a finisher included. So yes, we'll expand our A4 lineup the same way that we'll expand our A3 lineup. We are a very complete hardware manufacturer. We are doing quite well. The company is growing. I think what Ina-san presented yesterday was impressive. I think that seeing the company growing worldwide in that way, I think is something really meaningful. And yes, we'll expand our product lineup, of course. When we say that we want to sell software, it doesn't mean that we don't want to sell hardware. We want to sell the same hardware, but on top of that, we want to sell more software. So yes, we'll expand our hardware lineup.
Okay, and you partially answered this before with the idea that solutions need to be the initiative of the dealers, but the question here is, what will you do to help independent dealers stay independent and to grow?
And let me hasten to say,
And we're running out of time.
I love this, so I'd love to stay here the rest of the day, so I really like this very much. How to help you to be independent dealers? Again, it's your company, so we cannot decide what you want to do with your company. I think that this company has grown over the years thanks to independent dealers, and we want to make sure that if you want to remain that way, we are here to help you. So I mentioned at the beginning, we have to see how we can not only give you competitive programs and pricing, how we can reduce your operating costs, how we can centralize more things for you, how we can make better logistics, how we can support you with lead generation activities. So I think there are many things that we could do to keep your business up and running, being profitable, and keeping a company that can grow over the years. So I think that we are a channel-oriented company. That's the DNA of the company worldwide. And I think if there is one place where that has been true more than anywhere in the world is here in the US, and I think in South America the same. So I think that DNA of the company of becoming dealer-centric is something that will not change because that has been our success. I really think that we are the most dealer-centric organization worldwide. And I think in the US, I feel that is probably the same. And that's something that we will keep and it will remain. So, of course, we are always willing to help independent dealers to remain independent.
I have to tell you that dealer-centric approach is one of those things that attracted me to this organization. So there we go. So does Kyocera have an exclusive with Highlands for Contendo? Does Kyocera have an exclusive rights with Highlands or Contendo?
Difficult question. I mean, we cannot be naive. What we have right now, the product that they're going to develop for us, the ECM mid-market cloud version, it will be an exclusive product for us. But if you ask me if in the future, if we are successful in 2 or 3 years from now, they will open this product to any other OEMs, well, that can happen. I mean, I think that the good thing right now is that we are the first having this type of product. I think Highland believes that we are the best partner they can have to enter the SMB market, and I agree with that. I think that Highland has been very successful in the enterprise market, but not so successful in the ECM market. I think Bill explained this very well yesterday. So I think that they want to give us that opportunity of being the first to jump into this market. And I think that if we are successful, then we'll have something to say. We'll have something different on top of other OEMs that may have it in the future, if that's what they want to have. I think that we feel very comfortable with the partnership with Highland. I think they understand as well as we do. I think we are very similar companies, the concept of partnership, and we want to empower that. We have to understand that the biggest dealer of Highland worldwide, the biggest by far, is DataBank. And DataBank is a 100% Kyocera company. So I think that, first of all, their sense of partnership is very strong, but at the same time, we are a very important customer for them. So I think that with that being said, I believe that if you ask me, we have a legal exclusivity that guarantee that they will not sell our product to anyone else in the next 5 years. No, we don't have that. But I think that we have a lot of things to think that we'll have a lot of opportunities to be different in the product that we're offering. And for sure, in the next 12 to 24 months, we will not see a similar product in any other hands except Kyocera dealers.
Could you repeat that? I wasn't paying attention. Now, you've kind of telegraphed on this a little bit, but are you pushing R&D in Japan to change the innovative approach as well, referring to advanced specifications, fifth color products, more advanced security solutions?
Well, it's going back to one of the things that I mentioned, customer centricity. Again, if we understand the customer, if we are close to them, if we understand what they need, our responsibility is to feed this back to our headquarters in Japan, and then they will take into account what we need. I think that Ando-san was presented yesterday. He really needs to understand very well the market. He's willing to listen to us. So yes, that will be our responsibility, and we will not be successful if we don't listen to the market. So one of the things that John mentioned, security, that's a very important topic. So I think that we have, our devices already have a good set of specifications in terms of security, but it is true that probably we need to improve that. So I think that that part is something that KDC is willing to listen to us and try to see what will be the approach that we will need in the future.
And this is probably the last one, Oscar. Currently, non-Kyocera dealers have access to our apps through the distribution channel. As we focus on pushing software through dealers, will we restrict apps sales through distribution?
So the question is that if we will sell software solutions through distribution, well, that's a complicated one.
We end on the last one.
So, well, I don't think that's something that I don't really see the value. I think a distribution, a distributor, a wholesaler, I think makes sense because we're talking about wholesalers.
Distribution.
So repeat the question because I think I didn't get it.
I can clarify. Distributors that sell to non-Kyocera dealers have access to our apps.
Okay.
So they still have access to some of the software.
I think that to sell software you need to have some type of certification. And I think that's so easy to sell through distribution. What I was trying to say is that I think a distributor is good because we can open a reseller channel. They provide a logistic platform that maybe you don't have, but in software you don't need a logistic platform. So I think it doesn't make so much sense. So I would say today I see that I think that solution sales is a value-added sales, and I don't think that selling through distribution it may be interesting for them, and for us I don't really see the additional value that can provide. So maybe that's something that I will have to do a little bit more about it, but I've never in that distribution model for the software business. So, can I make your question?
That did it.
I was expecting for that. You did a lot. So I'd like to ask you, John, what do you think we should do different? I mean, you heard you have some experience with us. You have been working for us for a lot of years. So I'd like to hear from you, what do you think that we should do differently? What advice you have for us?
I thought I was the guy asking questions. So my experience truly is a pretty short one, about 1.5 years now. And as I said early on, that one of the things that really attracted me was that dealer-centric approach that you guys had. I'm still learning as well. I've sure enjoyed the relationship as we have it. I do appreciate the fresh approach. You know, a lot of times you go to events like this, you hear from the manufacturers, here's how we're going to make you, the dealer, more money. But what I'm hearing out of Oscar, just from yesterday and through a little bit today so far as we chatted earlier, is the focus on the customer. How do we increase success? How do we make the dealership more successful? Not just more money, but how do we make it more successful and stickier in the customer's arena? And to see that focus, what I anticipate is coming is that great change that I'm just looking forward to being a part of. So what I'm seeing is a trajectory down that road. And to see that play out the rest of the way is going to be a lot of fun. For me, I know, and I trust it will be for the balance of the group here as well. So that wraps our time. Danielle's given me the axe motion here. I do thank you. It was a good time.
So the last thing I'd like to say is that what I meant yesterday when I closed my speech, I really mean it. So we cannot do this alone. We really need you. And of course, the people at KDA, they have a lot of experience. I've been here only for 7 months, and I desperately need your advice. So please be open to reach me at any time. Just tell me what you think, what we should do. If you think that we're doing great, I would be very happy to hear that. But if we think that you think that some of the things we are doing should be improved or be done differently, please let me know as well, because I think we can only grow through you and through your opinions and your support. So really, the most important thing of my message yesterday is what I said at the end, and I really hope that we can count on your support. And I thank you very much for your business, and I'm sure that we'll have a wonderful ride together. So thank you very much.
That was an extremely informative session, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time. And I actually am going to flip this around for a second, and I want to ask John a question or two. Because I had mentioned earlier today that John Ekstrom is the president of the BTA, and I wanted you to talk for a minute about what BTA is offering to the independent dealers today and how maybe they could find some opportunities of thought leadership, information sharing, and best practices through that organization.
Well, that's a question I do appreciate. I'll tell you, my tenure started July of last year, and it has been a rewarding one, but instead of telling you about how rewarding it's been for me, let me tell you what it can mean for you. I imagine most of us in here are familiar with what BTA is and what it does and what it is, but just on a very high level, BTA is an organization by dealers and for dealers. So its objective is just to help this industry stay relevant. So probably a dozen years ago, there would have been over twice the number of independent dealers that we've currently got. So in the country, we're talking in round numbers, about 2,000 independent dealers. Round numbers again, there's about 650 BTA members. Invited to this and showed up at this event here this week, the Kyocera dealers, there's about 350. I think if I were to poll the group on people's attitude toward BTA, you'd have some that were very passionate. On the other end, you'd have a lot of people that says, I don't know and I don't care. Most of them are going to fall somewhere in the middle. Unfortunately, in that group in the middle, you have some that are part of BTA and are not taking advantage of it. You got others that really think they're in BTA and they're not. It's just because it's become a household name, BTA, BTA, BTA. So some of the advantages, the benefits that BTA has, anybody that is involved with it is right off the bat going to say, yep, Bob Goldberg. You get legal advice for the cost of your dues, and it's a great deal. How many in here, I just have to ask, how many have taken advantage of Bob Goldberg events? So look around, guys. For dues of $430 a year, you got access to a guy that knows this industry better than anybody from the legal perspective. And there are firms out there that will charge you $430 an hour for advice. So that is one benefit that BTA has to bring to the table. Something that an initiative that we're getting kicked off. I have to tell you, during my years as president, my objective was to grow the membership, the ranks of BTA, and I got to tell you, it just hasn't worked the way that I thought it would. You know, we're seeing in our ranks mergers and acquisitions just running rampant. That is having an effect on us. We've got a lot of dealers that were 2 or 3 dealers that are now pulled down to 1 because of mergers and acquisitions. So it's been a tough call for us, but we're trying very hard to increase the membership. I think without that strong push, we would have fallen back. But with that strong push that we have, I hate to tell you, I'm satisfied right now that we're kind of level. But we do want to grow, and I've got 2 more months to make it happen. So I need your help. I'm going to talk about that in a second too. But one of the other benefits that one of the other things that are that's out there a benefit to with BTA is a venue for BTA Marketplace, which is going to be a web website where BTA members can go to sell their 2, 3, and 4 generational parts and supplies that you're otherwise going to throw away. So I know you've had times when you're looking for stuff and I see people filing out. Go see, there's a BTA table out here, you can go sign up. If you do it and do it at this event, Kyocera is going to get recognition for it. And if we can get a handful of people to sign up, Kyocera will win that Channel Champion Award that's given out in September. I'm going to let Danielle speak to that right now.
So the BTA has a booth in the pre-function area outside of the technology fair today. Please stop by and see Brent and the team that's there. We really do encourage you to talk to them. It's a great opportunity for you to have a conversation with your peers when you go to these events and be able to understand more about best practice sharing across organizations, and we highly encourage you to do so. So with that, I want to thank you guys for coming in today. I hope that you got a lot out of this session. I think it was a wonderful opportunity to hear a little bit more insight into what Oscar's thinking about how we're going to transform Kyocera Document Solutions America. A very special thank you to John. I really appreciate you being our moderator for today and being able to be up here with us. So thank you. So aside from the fact that there were a ton of questions and we tried to get to all of them, if we didn't, I apologize. Come see myself or one of the sales managers later and we can make sure your question gets answered. I learned 2 important things today. One, apparently I need to invest in a microphone company. That was somebody's question before. And the second is, my gosh, you guys have worse handwriting than doctors. I was trying to transpose all of the questions over there to make sure they would understand what they were. Next year we're going to have to make it electronic to make it a little easier. But thank you very much. Please enjoy the rest of your sessions throughout today and tomorrow, and we'll talk to you later.